Hello everyone, welcome again to our academy. We are going to continue our course How to Think Logically, and we are going to talk today about the science of logic. We already know that we have different types of knowledge or cognition: internal feeling, sensation, imagination, and intellectual knowledge. Intellectual knowledge is the function of our minds. Our minds enable us to think. Thinking has two different types: understanding and judgment. To understand, we need a definition, and to judge, we need an evidence. Both definition and evidence require matter and form. Matter and form. So, what is the science of logic? We already know what is thinking. Logic simply is the science which studies thinking. So logic is interested in the laws of thinking. Logic discovers the natural laws of thinking, how we naturally think. Understanding these laws will enable us to think right. This is logic. So when should we study logic? In fact, logic is the first science to study. It must be the first science to study. Why? Every other single science required thinking. It's built on thinking processes. So, at first, we need to know how to think right. Logic helps us to think right, so it must be the first science to study. Logic doesn't require any previous science to be studied before it. Logic is built on innate axioms, which are present naturally in our minds, as we will discover later on. For example, the whole is always greater than its part. Who was the first to develop logic? As we said, logic discovers a natural way of thinking, which is used by all human beings, and is based on innate axioms. So, no one invented logic, but some people discovered the laws of logic. The first to write these discovered laws in a separate science was the Greek philosopher Aristotle. Logic, after that, underwent many developments in the Greek civilization, Islamic civilization, modern civilization, and so on. What is the importance of logic? Our thinking produces our thoughts. Our thoughts direct our behavior. Our behavior shape our fate. If someone have a wrong method of thinking, he always exaggerates. This wrong thinking will produce wrong ideas, like minor differences are not accepted between partners and are disasters. These thoughts will lead to bad behavior, extreme behaviors, like fights, divorce, and so on. The fate of this person will be loneliness. Another example. The same applies on communities. If many of the individuals in the community have wrong method of thinking, like generalization, this will lead to wrong ideas, like the others are criminals. This will lead to civil war, fights, and so on. The fate of this community will be a disaster. It will break down. The logic helps us to have proper thinking. This will produce right thoughts. This will direct us to good behavior. So our fate will be happiness, success, and so on. So if someone asks you, why are you studying logic? You can simply answer him, logic leads to happiness. This is the goal of logic. So now we know that we have different types of knowledge: internal feeling, sensation, imagination, and intellectual knowledge by our minds, which enable us to think. Thinking includes understanding and judgment. Understanding needs definitions. Judgment needs evidence. A definition is formed of matter and form, and an evidence is formed of matter and form. Logic is a science which discovers the natural laws of thinking. So it makes us think right, think properly. It makes us understand right. It enables us to have proper understanding and proper judgment. It enables us to make proper definitions and proper evidence. It enables us to select proper matter and arrange them in a proper form to make a proper definition. It enables us to select the proper matter and arrange it in a proper form to make a proper evidence. At last, logic will lead us to happiness. In the rest of our course, we will continue to study the laws of logic. Follow us, and thank you.